Welcome to Curious with Josh Peck. Start the show. Yeah. Check. Bang, 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 bang. Strong.
I went to a chick's house the other day to do like when I was in New York to do a podcast, right? And first off it was a teen mom podcast, so I was like, hell yeah, I want to do a teen mom podcast.
What does that mean?
Like they
from
get
the
together,
show?
they get together, they talk about teen mom.
Great. That sounds like something my wife would like.
They get an ass of listeners.
Really? Mm-hmm. I can believe that. It's like a wrap-up show.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, respect. They definitely found a lane.
They started letting them do. Like after they do like after total requests like dark and stuff like that.
Right.
Like after the Teen Mom show. And they've been doing the podcast like a few months.
And how was it?
I got there. They had a board, and like the board was fucked up. Like it just kept on humming, and they sat there for like an hour and some change trying to figure that out.
Oof, that hurts.
And then they ran to the store and they got a new board.
Jesus, what did they have? A local guitar center close by?
Yeah, they had something. They went to some like. They did it very old school. Like they called the people. They were like, can you hold it? We're gonna come and get that right now. Like somebody's mom and shit like that.
Right. Oh man, that's like my greatest fear. I'm also afraid that one day I'm going to be recording and just not. It won't have recorded the interview.
That's happened a lot.
That's terrifying.
Are we recording now?
Yeah.
Okay.
But enjoy. I like to get some of the, like the beginning.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? So you were saying you get invited on a lot of podcasts.
I do.
Yeah, I bet.
I do.
They're very on trend.
They're
in fashion.
This is my thing. Let me finish eating.
I just want to let the listeners know I went to Whole Foods.
There's a bomb croissant right here. But
I got a beautiful croissant assortment. One's made of pretzel bread. Don't ask me how.
I've learned. If I'm doing podcasts, I want to do podcasts with my friends and people I like. Right. Not people I just met.
Oh, because what do you do?
Because like after a while, like you start talking and then you realize like, yo, I don't even know you.
Right.
I don't know you. I don't know this show. I don't know your sense of humor.
Right.
We're just here. I wanted this to be a 15-minute podcast. It's an hour now.
Hour plus. Oh man, I've seen podcasts and certain people, and God bless them, who like it's not particularly funny.
Yeah.
And like they're going 80, 90, 100 minutes just digging in.
I'm like, dude, get in and get out.
Right. I've done some where it's like I could feel it because I have maybe it's a comedy thing, and only because I've worked in comedy where you feel such an economy of time. Like, get it out as quick as you can and bolt.
Yeah, and you know when people are over you.
Yeah, totally. You can feel it immediately. Like I was interviewing my buddy the other day, and he's a showrunner creator of the show Billions, and he's incredibly talented, smart, and like blessed me with an hour, was so nice. But like around 45 minutes, he's a busy man. I could like see him checking the emails. Like he needed to get back to work, and I'm like, let me wrap this up real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need another sign.
Yeah. He's like,
Right. He was ready to move. It's funny, I interviewed Saget the other day, and he was like, you're the 10th person to invite me on their podcast this month.
The 10th person this month?
Yeah.
I don't get asked that much. I really don't get asked that much.
But because they know you're a good guest.
I'm a decent guest. I'm a real decent guest.
This is going incredibly so far. So I'm going to venture to say you're an amazing guest.
I'm a decent guest, but you know what, things like I said, when you're doing it for people you don't know,
right,
and like podcasts you don't really know, you'll get there and be like, I gotta start learning to say no to these things. You'll be there like, this doesn't benefit me anymore.
Right, totally. Have you done a podcast and then all of a sudden gotten like some great return from it? Like, I heard you on the Teen Mom wrap-up show. We'd love to give you 5 episodes on CSI.
Not that good, but people have listened to the podcast that I've done, and I get a lot of feedback from it. Just randomly, it's random what the people hear you on.
Right.
Because I do podcasts. I've done like Opie. I did like Opie Radio a few times.
That's huge.
Yeah, back when that was like going on, and it's crazy what people hear you on.
Right.
Yeah, you do that like once, and then people are like, okay.
Do you find like because I notice at times there's a grassroots nature to sort of building your footprint or your fame.
Yeah.
And so randomly, like, obviously there are like the big wins, and you do a show like Love, or I do my show where it's like, people are watching it.
Yeah.
But then you'll find a fan who's like, son, you on like the Teen Mom Wrap-Up Show was
Exactly.
my jam.
Take the 10 was my shit, man.
Do you ever get that?
A lot.
Really?
A lot.
Really?
Yeah.
That makes me happy.
People love Take the 10, man.
Take the 10's a good movie.
Yeah, it was fun.
I just revisited it a few days ago, just watched like 2 or 3 scenes from it, and I'm like, this is so my kind of movie.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? I didn't get it until I'll go, because I'm on tour, I'm on the road all the time.
Right.
And I'll go to like somebody, say like you meet like a comic somewhere. He's like, yo, let's go hang out with my boy. Or my boy's got some weed. Let's go get it from him. And we'll go to people's houses and like they'll just be watching Netflix. Like they'll just put on a movie.
Right.
And just watch the whole thing. Like they believe in that percentage thing. And it's like, if this says 80%, I'm going to watch it.
Right.
And they see it. It's crazy.
People that do the Netflix deep dive.
Yeah, they watched it, man.
They believe in the programming.
They believe in it.
I remember doing that movie and getting sent the audition tapes because I was signed on early on for the character of Greg, who you played. And I just remember seeing it, and it was like one of those, and you hear that a lot too when someone gets a role where it was just like you turned to each other and said, yeah, he's the guy. There's no one else to play this role. So as soon as you signed on to the movie, I was like, this is going to be great.
Nice.
And we could just play.
That was a good time.
So you are on the road. You're going to Denver next week.
Yep, I'm in Denver, Colorado.
So what's the road like for you?
The road is cool. It's I'm meeting people for the first time. Well, some of these dates is like my third time going back, so I'm really building like the old school fan base of just going back to a place and killing and then coming back and letting people know and people tell people about it. Yeah, the road is cool. I'm kind of over it, but it's cool.
Cause do you like I do these college gigs.
Not over it, but like I know what's happening.
Right. I mean, do you like I do these college gigs where in a very small way it's like touring. Like recently I was in Virginia, Philly, Pittsburgh, and New York over a week. And I'll do anywhere from like 500 to 1,000 kids, comedy, Q&A bit. And I lose my mind in 1 week. Like I will find myself in a Marriott courtyard at like 10 o'clock at night contemplating my life. Like the choices I've made. And I'm like, this is why road comics all are drunks and do drugs. Like, because there is unless you're with a good squad of people, like it's a trippy experience being on the road, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because we're in like LA and New York. And then we go to the Middle America and you're like, oh, you guys don't give a fuck about none of that. Like,
right.
none of that progression. It's just happening here. You guys are just banging.
Right. You guys are just white people procreating.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just poor people having sex. It's crazy.
Right. Do you say you're going to Denver or even somewhere more middle of America like St. Louis or what have you, do you curtail your act or form it to that specific place? Lean on certain things?
I found out that going somewhere, you'll learn something about where you're at, or you'll pick up like a common joke or something like that. So yeah, you got to kind of come out and identify with them. So I always end up, what irks me is that I go to a place, I get there Thursday, I'm like, okay, I see what jokes worked, boom, boom, boom. Friday, I'm like, all right, cool, let's do this. Saturday, I've dealt with them since Thursday, so now like from crowd work and everything, I know more about the place. I know things that like are inside jokes. And on like Saturday, I'll tell a joke, like the first show that's just like about, a local joke, and it'll kill.
Right.
And then I'll be like, all right, I got to do it the second show, and it'll kill even harder. And then I'm like, Man, I wish I would have been telling this joke since Thursday because it's only one more show.
Right? Yeah.
And I'll know when I'll ever be able to tell this joke again.
You're getting those high-powered local observations.
Yeah, local observations. They love that.
I guess I'm giving myself up now, but when I go do these colleges, I have this one hack that I do every time, which is I usually get there about an hour before, and I'll meet with the college newspaper or what have you, and I always say, tell me 3 inside jokes about campus.
I do that all the time.
Right?
That's what you're supposed to do.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And like, so I'll be like, where's the local bar where everyone gets shithoused? I'm like, what are people turned off about? So it's always like, this is a bar we go to. And I was recently at Slippery Rock University, and they were like, and Slippery Rock's our mascot, and there's like a real rock, but no one touches the rock because everyone pisses on it. And I'm like, got you. And I just went out there and I was like, my hand smells like piss. I've been touching the Slippery Rock. And do y'all want to go to it was like G Hill was the name of the bar, and have a drink after? They lost their fucking minds.
I'm about to steal that shit. I'm stealing that joke the next time.
Dude, I'm telling you, there should be like just a comedian, like the social media app where you can exchange
just like stock jokes. They just put stock jokes in there.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to Fordham? Got you.
Here's a stock joke for New York. Yeah.
It's incredible. And so when you're on the road, what do you do to keep your sanity? Smoke weed?
Yeah, smoke weed.
Now, do you have any? I always wonder this. Do you have any trepidations getting pot through TSA? Not to blow up your spot, and we can cut this out. Well, because I have friends now who are in California, and it's
leaving
illegal.
California.
Right, leaving California is a nerve, but like they have their pens or their little vaporizer, and it's nothing.
Yeah, I don't really worry about vapes or anything.
They don't think twice.
Yeah, I wouldn't think twice about a vape or anything.
Right.
Weed, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't want to chance it.
Yeah, I don't chance it. Yeah, but I have a problem. I reek of weed, so I don't know what it is. It's like I just have this weed face. So like
Right.
I'm the guy. Like every time I'm somewhere, I'm the guy that people walk past like, got that bud.
Right, they know.
And my friends are like, why does nobody ever say that to me?
They can pick it up on you.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's just something about my face that they're just like, yo, got that.
Right.
Even though I don't want to buy from that guy, but he's always around.
It's good to know that he exists.
Yeah, he's around, and I attract it.
In a pinch, you can always go find that valet at
I could
the
always
Radisson.
find that tourist sack. That's what I call him.
When I used to smoke a little bit more and I was, out there sowing my wild oats, I did find that I would find like people that were, similar companions of the life in which I was living. So now I feel like such a square, like I'm married and I'm sober. And so I never, like, people will be in the bathroom smoking pot or something. I'm like, do you guys smell marijuana? Like, where did this come from? Or like, someone's doing cocaine? Like, where could they have found such a thing? But back then, I mean, they find you. People could see it in your eye when you're like,
oh, hell yeah. I don't know what that is. It's like they just know where the party is. It's just the laws of attraction.
So let's go back. Let's go back to, you grew up in South Carolina.
Yes.
What part?
Grew up in Georgetown, South Carolina.
And what's Georgetown like?
Small, just a small town, paper
Yeah.
mill town, steel mill town. Very. That's what people do there. That's the economy there. So if you're not doing that, you're not making money.
Right.
So yeah, it was cool to grow up there because it was a real town. When I was in like middle school, the steel mill closed down, so like everybody lost their jobs, and like the town's been like crazy ever since.
And did it, I mean, how big of a town are we talking about? Like, you guys had a Walmart?
Had a Walmart,
Strong.
a McDonald's,
Bless.
and that's about it, man.
Really?
there was a super center
Was
that
there
never closed.
a Main Street?
There was a front street. There's a historic district. It
Okay.
burned down.
Okay.
It burned down like a few years ago.
Solid.
Yeah, it's an interesting place. I was just there, and I was like, yo, I got to get my life together. I'm like, I was so happy my life is together.
Right.
Like, I went there, like, sometimes I'm in LA, like, what the fuck am I doing? I went to South Carolina, I was like, all right, I'm good, man. These days were good. I'll get back to work.
Yeah, everything's going well for me
Everything's
right
going
now.
very well for me.
Is that like, I'm from New York City, and one of the biggest cities in the world, and yet I still have those moments in New York where I'll walk down the street where I used to live and think, this is my old life. Like it'll bring back that weird sense of nostalgia that's like super melancholy. Like I'm glad that I had this experience, but I never want to go back. And that's New York. So I imagine South Carolina.
I do that with New York too. I kind of
Really?
do that with New York too. Like when I go back to New York, I'm always thinking, I was here with a goal.
Right.
I achieved that. Let me go back to LA.
Are you, because when we were shooting Take the 10, you were kind of being bi-coastal. Are you mostly here now?
Yeah, I live here now. When we were filming Take the 10, I was staying with my brother.
Right.
And yeah, I have my own place now.
And you're flourishing. I watch your IG stories. You recently got a plasma screen TV, a flat screen.
Living the life.
All right, that Netflix money.
Yeah, you see it.
Doing all right. So, and growing up in South Carolina, you come from you're one of 8, right?
Yeah.
So, but there's a big spread with the ages of the siblings.
Yep.
So how many kids were at home when you were growing up?
I grew up with my brother Kenny for a while.
Okay.
But I was only at home really with my sister and my mom.
So you and your sister are the babies.
Yep.
And what was that like? What was your experience like?
Growing up, it was cool. It was really cool. It was chill. I didn't know anything else. And yeah, since I grew up with my sisters, it was cool. My dad wasn't around, but I had so many other brothers that were old enough to
Male
be
figures.
that were old enough to be my dad. That it was like I had 5.
Right. And did you have any awareness of like, because I remember, did you ever meet your dad?
Oh yeah.
But he just wasn't
Yeah, we
around.
just didn't like. Yeah, it's a long story.
Gotcha.
But yeah, he lived in New York. My grandmother got sick when I was, just born, and my mom moved the family, which was me, my brother Kenny, and my sister to South Carolina, and yeah.
Baby, 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 got another ad for the listeners. Guys, RX Bar wants to build things the right way. Sorry, they like to do things the right way, which in this day and age, it's few and far between. Listen, RX Bar believes in the power of transparency and lets the core ingredients do all the talking, with all of them listed on the front of the packaging. You likely recognize RX Bar on the shelf. They're the ones who have egg whites for protein, dates to bind, nuts for texture, and other delicious ingredients like unsweetened chocolate, real fruit, spices, sea salt, cinnamon. Guys, listen, I'm a huge fan of RX Bar. I carry it in my backpack whenever I need like a little quick, like not trying to go eat like a full meal, but I need like a nice holdover, something that I know is going to give me that fuel to produce the hilarious auditory experience that you guys get to have, kind of. Well, not really. Look, RX bars are great for a number of occasions. I'm talking breakfast on the go, snack at the office to push you through your 3 p.m. slump, throw in your bag for the plane, toss in your backpack for a bike or a hike. And listen, RX bars, they come in 14 delicious flavor varieties. I'm talking mango pineapple. I'm talking chocolate hazelnut, peanut butter and berries, chocolate sea salt, and many, many more. So listen, I've got something exciting for you guys. For 25% off your first order, visit rxbar.com/curious and enter promo code CURIOUS at checkout. Yeah, that's rxbar.com/curious. Enter promo code CURIOUS. You're welcome. Did you ever feel like when talking with like older brothers and siblings who had been out of the house probably 10 plus years when you were a kid, did you ever feel like they had a different upbringing than you did?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, they had a crazy upbringing. The stuff they talk about, I'm like, yo, I don't even know if I'm built like that, dude. Just the amount of fights and just the like living in New York, I'm like, I don't even think I would have wanted to live here when that was going on. It sounds so wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like, yeah, back in the day we fucked this dude up, and then you used to fight these dudes over there, and then you didn't want to go down there. Like, and
Hectic.
I'm like, that sounds horrible. They were like, it was the greatest time of our life.
You're like, I just went to the local Walmart.
Yeah, I was like, I went to school and came back. I smoked
Everything
weed
seems
every now
fine.
and then.
Not good weed in South
Not
Carolina.
good at all.
No
No,
way,
but
right?
I didn't know any better.
Right. And I mean, they don't mess around with pot in South Carolina. I
No,
feel
they
like.
don't. They don't. I got expelled in high school for having a seed in my car.
A seed.
A seed.
That seems like they need to really reform their rules when it
Yeah,
comes to that.
yeah, it's crazy down there.
I mean, it's incredible how schools can literally fuck up. I mean, luckily you had other things going, but like, had you not been a comedian entertainer, they could have royally fucked your life by expelling you for that.
I mean, they already kind of royally fucked my life with this South Carolina education, you know.
Right.
You know, I could be moving a little bit faster than this. Yeah, you know what thing is, South Carolina education was horrible because it wasn't even till, you know, they just always like, you gotta go to college, you don't want to be shit. You gotta go to college if you want to be shit. But they never really told you about college. They were just like, you gotta go to college if you want to be shit. They didn't break down the levels of, what you
Majors,
could
how to get in,
majors,
a
what
good college.
Yeah, what exactly you could do. Everyone was just like, I want to be a business major. I want to
Yeah.
be like, oh,
Communication.
these fucking vague ass, these vague career choices. And yeah, so I was just like, fuck college, man. I was like, I don't want to go to college. I'm like, I don't even like free school. Like, so why would I pay to go somewhere else?
Right.
So I was like, just get me out of here. Like, fuck college. It wasn't until I was like 21 and I'm working. This was the cool thing. When I was 21, I was working a production assistant job. I had a PA job. And all the interns were also my age.
What show?
Totally Biased on FX.
Solid.
Yeah,
What
with,
was that?
Kamau
Like,
Bell.
oh, okay.
My brother Chris was the EP. That's how I got the job.
Wow. All right.
I should have been interning, but I had a paid job.
A little nepotism never hurt
It
anyone.
was cool. It was cool, but it was like meeting because the kid I met there, that was the intern. We actually live together now, but he was like, we said to each other, it was like he told me, like, when I met him, he was taking all these writing classes and all of this stuff, and like he was so into like just comedy writing
Yes.
in college, and I was like, I didn't even know you could
It was
do that.
possible.
I didn't even know that was like a thing. I didn't know you could be a comedy writer in college. I didn't know that coming
Yeah.
from South Carolina. And then, like, my brothers and stuff are so far away and stuff. And I was just such a rebel kid. I didn't want to hear what anybody had to talk about. But then teachers weren't telling me this either. So it wasn't until, I was 20, I'm like, oh shit, like, damn, I got to learn this stuff like on the fly, like as I'm going.
Yes.
But him meeting me, he was like, damn, I thought I had to go to college to get this job, and here you
Yeah,
are
here you are.
already. I'm around a bunch of delusional people at school going super hard for the job you already have.
Right.
So
Well-
like we met each other and kind of like just piggybacked off each other.
And you're like, well, your last name isn't Rock, is it?
Yeah, I'm like they couldn't fire me. So
Did you? It's it's interesting that you say like, because what having your brothers be in the business and being so successful, and yet was there a part of you at a young age that kind of wanted to rebel against the family business?
is there part of me that wanted to rebel against? No, not really. I always loved the family business.
You loved comedy
Yeah, I loved comedy
from a young age.
I love comedy from a young age.
And what's your first, like, because I can think about, it's funny, Howard Stern always talks about that his father was in radio.
Yeah.
So, of course, he went into radio because he wanted to be heard by his father and
Yeah.
recognized that something that he felt was of worth that Howard did. And similarly, like, my mom always loved, like, the Honeymooners and the Golden Girls and great television and comedy. So it's no surprise that this is where I went.
Yeah.
So for you at a young age, can you recognize a moment when you were like, I love this, or this is of value? Like, being funny is valuable.
Being funny is valuable. When did I realize being funny is valuable? I just always loved it. I was just always around it.
Right.
And then I went. I think this is the story. Then I went in 7th grade. I went and hung out with my brother Tony Rock. He was on tour one time, like on the road. He had just did All of Us, which was a UPN show
Okay.
back when UPN was the shit.
Poppin'.
Yeah, back
Wait,
when you couldn't.
Monique? No, not Monique was on UPN.
Yeah, the Parkers. Yes, it was.
Brandy?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Okay.
but you gotta think UPN. Like UPN was big because you had people had antennas and they could only get the first 10
Channel
10
9.
channels. Yeah,
Yeah.
they could own that was in massive houses throughout America.
Right.
With only 10 channels. So, so yeah, he was hot. I'll say that to say he was hot on the
Killing
road.
it.
He was killing the road for the first. This was like the second time. I don't even know where he was at on the road. I feel like he was just starting the headline and he had been featuring for a long time before. But I know I went to visit him in Tampa, Florida. No, Jacksonville, Florida. The Comedy Zone in Jacksonville.
How old were
Florida.
you?
I was 13.
Okay.
I'm in 7th grade. So however old you are in 7th grade.
Old enough to be awake to the idea of
I might have even been in 6th grade. I might have been in 6th grade. I know College Dropout came out that year.
Okay. Great album.
Yeah, so I'm there. I'm watching him perform every night. We're waking up in the afternoon. We're eating French fries for breakfast. I'm
It's
like,
a
this
dream.
is the life. It was a open mic going on like on Saturday, and I was like, I'm gonna go to the open mic. I went to the open mic. I'm like 13. I killed the open mic.
Really?
I'm like, oh shit, this is crazy.
Do you remember any of the material?
I actually tell one of the jokes. I actually still
Still?
tell one of the jokes every now and then.
That's a good bottle of wine, that joke.
Yeah, I still tell one of the jokes every now and then.
Like 14 years later, still
14
going
years
strong.
later, still, like, if I'm, like, trying to finish a set, I'll just put the mic in the stand and tell that joke.
Bless. So do you think that you were these jokes that you would tell your friends, and then, like, were these bits that you had, like, weirdly practiced in your normal life and then threw them up on stage, or were you just doing crowd work?
They were weirdly well-written bits that I had written just from watching, like, Comic View at the time or something like that.
Just observations.
Yep.
Wow.
Like-
and had you ever said them out loud?
Yeah.
To your family, your friends?
Yeah, I think I
like-
probably told my mom or something like that, and she was like, that's really funny or that's really clever. But that was my first time seeing if it could float.
And you crushed.
Yeah, it was cool.
You were like a Chinese gymnast with no fear.
It was beginner's luck.
Yes.
That's what they call that.
And did you proceed to bomb after that?
No, I just never did comedy again for the 7th grade, so I didn't do comedy again for like another 4 years.
Typical story.
Yeah.
You know, peak in 7th grade, take high school off, and
Yeah.
and so I mean, I imagine that your brothers aren't the only funny people in your family. Is everyone funny? Is everyone?
My mom's real funny.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of jealous that I'm kind of jealous that my brother Chris is older than me because I watch Bring the Pain and stuff like that, and I'm just like, this is just what my mom says at the house.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, like all this good material just was at the house.
Yeah, you're just stealing from mom's bit about us not cleaning our rooms.
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly. And then certain things will happen. Like I'll have certain jokes in my head, and then I'll watch like an old special or like just an old set he did back in the day, and he'll tell the same joke I want to tell like in like a different way, and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
How do I even get there now?
Do you know the one thing, like, and just as an outside observer and watching you and Tony and Chris, I mean, I feel like all of you guys are so talented and yet totally have different styles. And yet and I wonder if it's something from, if you notice your mom had, or just your family, like there is a cadence, a slight verbal cadence that you guys share that's inherently rock. You know what I mean? And it's great. It's like being, you know, the son of a great singer or the brother of a great singer. Like, do you notice that?
Not the cadence. I mean, I guess I do a little bit of things that I notice, but I don't know.
There's like, and it's just because it's just I mean, I see it. My wife is one of 4 kids, and I think just amongst siblings, there's from everyone being around the same jokes and growing up, they have a similar way of delivering certain things. And do you ever pick up on that or not?
Oh yeah, I
really?
pick up on that for sure. I
Right.
pick up on that. I do things every day that people are like, "Yo, that's Tone right there. That's Chrissy right there."
Right. And I'm sure your siblings that aren't in the biz are the same way.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, all the time.
Do you think that's from your mom, like, or
Yeah, it has
grandparents?
to be from the family.
or-
It has to be. It's genetic.
Right. And then, so you're growing up and you're into stand-up and I mean, you seem, I think of why and I'm not a stand-up, but I've always done sort of more comedic stuff. And I know why I'm funny because I was fat.
Yeah.
Because I always want to say, like, my buddy Britt has a great line where he says, funny people are usually funny for very unfunny reasons. I've dated girls in the past, years before I met my wife, and they would try to be really funny, and I'd want to say to them, like, there's a good chance that I'm funnier than you.
Yeah.
But it's been born out of pure misery. So, like, if you grew up handsome or attractive your whole life, you didn't need these skills.
Yeah, exactly. That's true.
Right?
That's the truth.
But, like, you seem like you were, I would imagine you in high school as, like, a cool, normal, like, you seem like just a cool kid. Or were you not?
I was in between. I could have been cooler. I just didn't know how perception worked.
Right.
like I didn't know, because everyone in school, I'm in South Carolina, I didn't know that if I just would have nodded my head and said, yeah,
Yes.
like people would have thought I was rich my whole life.
The coolest.
Yeah, if people would have been like, oh, you Chris Rock's little brother, you rich. And if I wouldn't been like, no, come on, I'm just chilling. If I would have been the kid like, yeah,
Yeah, I'm all right.
yeah, I'm good.
I'm doing just fine.
Yeah, I would have been fucking on 1,000.
Cool by association.
I would go to school and I would spend all my money on weed and then go to lunch and be like, yo, can I get $1? Can I get $1?
Yeah.
And people be like, yo, why is he asking for $1? If I would have never asked them for $1, do you know who they thought I would have been?
Oh my God. God, if you had only held the dollar request.
Exactly.
And so you're funny in high school and you're sort of cultivating this thing. Oh, it's sort of more present than ever, and not to go like on a serious note, but like growing up in South Carolina, did you face any sort of like some of that backwards South thinking
I was
from other people?
I was pretty aware of it. I was very aware of growing up in the South and racism and Confederate flags all over. But it's interesting. The spiteful racism doesn't really come out until you get older.
Interesting.
Yeah, spiteful racism doesn't really come out of people until they're older. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
when they're in school and stuff like that, it's more of just ignorance if they're racist.
Right.
And then some people are just, they're all hanging together and they're still learning and stuff like that. I don't really think it's till you're not doing good in life that you're just like, nigger.
Right.
I think you gotta get beat out by a few black people and then you get to that point.
Well, it's also like you find that these things are so many times where you've seen these very stereotypical racists in whatever form. It's born out of a lot of that they've just, like when you're at school, you're in this melting pot and you're forced to face people of different backgrounds and culture and ethnicity on an everyday basis.
Yeah.
But then if you live in a small town where everyone looks like you, it's easy to cultivate these ideas if you're of that mindset that, oh, those people out there, they're the bad ones.
Yeah.
But then they're face to face and like, I always want to be like, really?
See, you know what the thing is about what I also was good for me, like I said, I got expelled in 11th grade. So when I was where I went to school from first grade to 11th grade was the small town Georgetown, where it was the schools were majority, black,
Right.
majority black, minority white. So I was in a total subculture.
Sure.
I was in a total of just that's white people shit. That's this, that, just crazy subculture. If there's a goth kid in class, he's the weirdest motherfucker. There'd be goth kids in class and, I remember them getting teased and then they'd leave. You don't see them for the rest of the school year. I got expelled and, I got expelled 11th grade, so that's right where you don't want to meet anyone else.
Yeah,
So I go to this new school and I'm only focused on graduating, and it's majority white, minority black. So it's there. I'm there for the first time, and I'm I see the goth kid that was in my back of my class. It's 10 of them now.
Yeah,
they got
now he's got his clique.
They got a whole clique. I'm just watching the way other people live life.
Right.
And that really changed me in 11th grade. I can say that.
And then Well, I'm so fascinated of like, well, in the high school where the minority was to be like a white kid or the goth kid or what have you, like, were you aware of what their experience was like amongst like,
Oh, it must have been tough. It must have been tough, man.
right?
That's why I'm every time I see like all this like bullying stuff and like school shootings, like I'm sorry to say this, I'm like, man, how did I make it? How did we make it out of Georgetown High School alive? How did we do it, man? Like, yeah, I used to see kids get teased for no reason.
And so you decide that you're going to be, when does it sort of switch on for you again to revisit comedy and to start like perhaps making it your thing?
Because I'm in trouble in 11th grade. I'm just getting in a lot of trouble. And I can't talk. I can't, say what I want to say. I can't express how I want to express about certain things without people going, that's stupid, or what are you talking about? And so comedy was the outlet to do that. It was the outlet to have 5 minutes to say whatever I wanted to say and not have anybody interrupt me and say, the wild things I was feeling at the time.
And were you sort of, who were the comedians that you were watching at that age?
Who was I watching? I was watching my brothers for sure.
Right.
And Dane Cook. I love Dane Cook at that age.
Man, people sleep. He gets Dane Cook is. Oh man, I'm gonna get fucked up for saying this. I feel like sometimes Dane Cook becomes like the Nickelback of comedy,
Yeah.
where he's like this easy target. But I listened to Dane Cook 2 days ago, and I was like, this material. This is like him doing Madison Square Garden and his first big.
He
album.
actually brought me back into being into it.
He crushed.
Yeah, he was
Rock star.
He brought me back into it, like the "Where's the handle" joke.
Right.
That was one of my favorite jokes ever. And I just used to love how he just could go from topic to topic without any kind of, segue. Like, even though that's what people hate about him, that was kind of what I loved about it at the time.
Well, you're a true stand up, and now you've sort of risen to these ranks of like, you get a lot of respect. So what do you think it is amongst fellow stand ups why he gets some people hate on him?
I wasn't there.
Right.
I wasn't there.
But what about now? I mean, he'll go up and do the Comedy Store in the Laugh
Yeah, we're
Factory.
actually doing a show together tonight, actually.
Really?
Yeah, at the Laugh Factory.
Solid.
But I don't know. I wasn't there because he's not my peer. He's a comedy. He's also a comedian, but he's not in my class.
Right.
So I don't. When it's comedy classes, so it's like your class is the person that's talking about you.
Right.
So I'm not in that class. So I didn't come up with the comics around. I didn't come up around Dane Cook. So I don't know how he just rubbed people. I don't know.
Yeah, you'll never. I mean, it's a really hard. I mean, listen, I did a show called Drake and Josh, and I didn't invite Drake to my wedding because I had a very, very small wedding and whatever. No need to get there. But for 1 year, I was literally hated, like deeply hated, especially by most of Latin and South America for this one transgression of not inviting the guy that I did a TV show with 12 years ago that I hadn't spoken to in a few years to my wedding.
Yeah.
Of that I could only invite 30 people from my side because it was like closest family and friends. But
It's like they don't know. They
don't
don't
know.
know.
But they closed my Facebook. They literally trolled everything I did for 1 year. That I was like, guys, well done. You win. Like, if you want to be mad, and I like tried to like do a bit of explanation, but once that starts, there's no explaining.
Yeah, it's no explaining in 2018.
Yeah, once they've turned the fire on under your feet, like you're gonna burn like a witch. Yeah. It's done. So, do you think you could distill down one major personality trait to like what's the if being tall is to basketball players? Is there a certain trait amongst comedians that you've observed or noticed over the years that you all have?
A certain level of self-deprecation.
Right.
Self-awareness and self-deprecation. So you have to be self-aware of who you are and how people are looking at you and what's coming out of your mouth. But you can't always just be like, I'm the shit.
Right.
Even if you're like, I'm the shit, you got to be like, I'm the shit, but I'm also a piece of shit.
Because that's a specific, like, you would see that, and D'Elia does that a little bit now, and Dane Cook used to do that more. Like, there has become that sort of genre or that specific type of very confident comedians that are kind of like, I'm dope. They're not the Stephen Wrights going up and saying I'm a piece of shit. They're like, nah, I'm dope, and here's why you're dumb.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you can be that, but you say I'm dope. Here's this, that, and then you still tell a story after that about you doing something kind of vulnerable.
Right.
It's all it's a balance. It's a real balance. You got to have that level of balance. You can't just talk up, talk down everyone all show and not yourself at any point.
How do you deal with hecklers? Do you get them?
I do get hecklers a lot on the road. I get hecklers a lot on the road because people want to test my comedy gangster. They just want to see if I really have it. Some people come and they're just like, this is just a rock. He's just up there for this. And, they always throw things out. But it's okay. I'm always just like, I would love for everyone to like the show, but if you don't like the show, it's okay.
Well, I think there's a part of that too, and just in me doing these small college gigs, I've had to employ some of the things that I've learned from great stand-ups that I'm a fan of. And I was listening to Mark Maron the other day, and he talked about embracing the silence, like not being afraid to not have a joke every single second, because the audience will pick up on your desperation to have them laughing every second. And I feel like your brother and Chappelle and are sort of ushering in this new wave of comedy where it's like, I'm going to get so honest here and relate to you and open up a part of myself. And I'm going to sandwich it in with like 2 killer bits. And then I'm going to take you on this journey and give you a story. And like all of a sudden I find myself watching that and I think I have an entirely new level of appreciation for these performers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you gotta have a long set to do that.
Right.
You gotta have a long set to take somebody on a journey.
You ain't doing that in an 8-minute set.
You're not gonna
at
take
the
somebody
Cellar.
on a journey in 15 minutes. You better just come out there and sing the hits.
But how are you? Because now you're headlining and going around traveling. So how long is your headlining set? 40 minutes?
I do hours sometimes. Wow. I was doing an hour and some change, but I use a lot of jokes. So now I'm trying to just do 45 straight, like just bam, hit 40, 50, like get out of there. I tell them light me a half an hour. I get off like around like 45, 50 every single time, just because I did a lot of jokes. So I'm kind of restructuring my set to try to tell the jokes in ways that if you saw me before, it's a new structure and there's new jokes in there, and it's a whole thing.
And do you think? Oh, going back because I wanted to ask one more follow up on the heckler bit. What do you think is inside the personality of a heckler, or like what's deep in their soul that's allowing them to get up and fucking interrupt a show in front of everyone?
Because they think they can do what you do. They think it's easy. They
Right.
think they can do it. That's the weird thing. Like Jerry Seinfeld said it. He's like, comedy is the only thing that people look at and they're like, I could do that if I wanted to.
I could do it.
I could do exactly what he's doing right now for a career if I wanted to. I'm just not doing it, right?
Right. Like my friends find me hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm the funniest guy at H&R Block where I work.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing.
I mean, that's the one thing that kills me. I feel like it's performing in general, be it if you're a singer or an actor. Like I resent when you'll see like a really talented singer or someone with a lot of success who will just say, I think I'm going to try acting now. I'm like, oh, word?
Word, you're going to take this role from me because you got more followers, bitch?
Right, because you're inherently charming, but you never took an acting class in your life, and you're probably actually good at it. But like, I feel like athletics and then also things like a pilot or a doctor or a lawyer we revere these professions so much because we know that you can't just do it.
Yeah.
That you need 10 years of schooling. Maybe not for a pilot, but like you need a shitload of schooling, and then you need to be accredited by the state to be allowed to do it. But like acting or a comedy, you just be like, yeah.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. That's my man's.
Yeah, I'm sure. I watch a lot of movies.
Yeah.
I could do that shit.
Exactly. Just don't look in the camera, yeah.
Yeah. I got just make it like real, conversational.
All right, real. Like I'm talking to my friend here. All right.
Right. But it is an interesting thing too, and I'll see that especially whenever I see someone who like has the balls to get up and heckle, is that there's like, I just feel like it's a 6-year-old kid screaming out on the playground to be like noticed. And then they've got the alcohol jet fuel to like make the fire.
So what you gotta do is make the show. If they want to be noticed, you gotta put the spotlight on them and let them know they're not winning.
Right. And let them fizzle out in front of everyone.
Yep.
But I've seen stand-ups turn it on a heckler and viciously destroy them for 20 minutes.
I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy.
Have you? But I'm sure you've seen that before.
I've definitely seen that happen before.
And how are you feeling then watching it as a comedian?
It can go either way.
Like sometimes you're like, good for you, and other times you're like, damn.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, yeah, it can go either way.
Right.
Because if the crowd is on the side, or, if there's laughter after everything he's saying, it sounds a lot less meaner.
Right. I interviewed Lisa Lampanelli a few weeks ago, and she was talking about the one time that she really eviscerated a heckler in the audience. And she's like, I just went after her. She's like, we're in Vancouver, I believe. And she's like, I just went after her at her core, which I just said, you're fucking basic. Like, you're fucking normal, and you're nothing. Like, you're nothing special. You're nothing either way. Like, and she just proceeded to crush. Just like you leave no imprint. People forget you immediately.
Damn.
And I was like, oh, like that's so brilliant and vicious and I'm sure if you caught me at the wrong moment, I could go for someone's deepest insecurity.
You're basic. I'll never forget. That reminds me of being in Denver. I'm in Denver with Heavy.
Okay,
Heavy.
our mutual
Jeff
friend.
Danson, Heavy.
Jeffrey.
And the Heavy is texting this
Flourish.
chick.
Oh yes,
He's
please
texting
tell this story. Okay.
No, this is not. I don't know if this is the story you
Okay.
think of, but he's texting this chick, and like the chick is like giving him the runaround, and he just looks at me. He's like, "Bitch, I don't care how many dudes in Denver are trying to talk to you right now." And I'm like, he said that, and I'm like, yo, every time I'm like somewhere and I'm trying to talk to like a chick, and she's like, I'm like, yo, I don't care how many dudes in Cincinnati are trying to talk to you right now.
I realize you have a lot of resources in Rochester.
Listen, I don't care how many dudes in Rochester want to take you out for a drink. I'm here right now.
Oh my God. Do you think we can tell? I mean, I've done Heavy's podcast 3 times now, so I think he would allow. Can we tell the story about him and the girl's number in his phone when you guys were on the road?
Let me tell you.
Please.
Messed me up because they were the girls I bought to the room. But no, we went to Denver twice in a year with Pete Davidson. We were opening for Pete. In the Denver Comedy Works. It's our second time in a year. First time we go, we meet these girls. Girls are cute as shit, but one of them is definitely cuter than the other one. There's definitely a leader, as always.
Happens.
But they're both pretty girls. So we're hanging out all night. We exchange numbers, and we leave. We leave Denver. I'm texting the girl like, "Hey, I'm back in Denver." Da, da, da. She's like, "Okay, cool. We're gonna try hang out." Da, 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 da. I'll be downtown whenever. Da, 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 da. Hev and Pete are like, yo, we're going to go for a walk.
Okay.
They leave me in the room and say, we're going to go for a walk.
Fair.
They run into the girl, one of the girls from the night.
Sure.
And she's like, hey, Heavy, like, runs up to them, like, forgets Pete. She's like, Heavy. She didn't even see Pete. She's like, Heavy.
That's
runs
huge.
Up to Heavy. It's like, yo, do y'all do it later? Da, da, da. Hev's like acting like, Hev doesn't even remember he's met the chick. So he's like, yeah, da, da, da. Probably go after the show, probably go back, have drinks, whatever.
Too
flourish,
cool for school.
Flourish one time.
Thriver.
So she's like, let me get your number. And he hands her the phone to put her number in. And she starts to type her number in. And her number is already saved in the phone as the ugly one.
Oh my God.
Like, what? Come on, bro.
That's incredible.
Long story short, I've never talked to that person ever again.
Well, if you're listening to the podcast now, he meant the ugly one in the most adorable way.
That was so rude.
Oh my God. That's just like worst nightmare territory. Ooh, that hurts. That's like sexting the wrong number.
Yeah.
That's bad. Oh, Well, everyone follow at Heavy with like 4 V's because he's the best.
Three
And
V's, I think. Is it
3 V's.
Two V's?
Two
Just
V's.
look up heavy.
Yeah, Jeff, thank you for letting us tell your stories on the pod. Hey yo, what's up? It's Josh. Listen, we got a quick ad for you right here, and then we are gonna get right back into the podcast. We are gonna jetpack ourselves right into that conversation because I'm loving it. Anyway, do y'all know about Mack Weldon? Well, if you don't, you should. Why? Well, no big deal, but Mack Weldon makes the most comfortable underwear, socks, shirts, undershirts, hoodies, and sweatpants that you'll ever wear. Humble brag, okay? Because look, they believe in a smart design. They believe in premium fabrics and simple shopping. Recently, I just bought like a bunch of essentials, some boxer briefs, which listen, I'm a boxer brief guy because I like the coverage of a boxer, but I like the security of a brief, okay? And I bought some socks and some undershirts from the website. It couldn't have been easier. It was like two-step easy checkout. It arrived in like 2 days. There wasn't like a 9-page checkout phase where they want to make sure you're not a robot, and then like they want to know your mother's maiden name and her hobbies when she was in 6th grade. You know, these websites are crazy. Not Mack Weldon. Nope. Sorry. Nuh-uh. And you know what else? They have a line of silver underwear and shirts that are naturally antimicrobial. Yeah. Because I know some of y'all out there, I mean, you're all good people, but couple of you guys got a little stink to you. Anyway, listen, I've got a special offer. For 20% off your first order, visit MackWeldon.com and enter promo code CURIOUS at checkout. That's MackWeldon.com, enter promo code CURIOUS at checkout. I love this stuff. It's actually really dope. All right, enjoy the show. Bye. And so, like Mitch Hedberg has one of his great jokes, which is like, comedy is the only thing that you get really good at it. And then people say, well, can you do anything else? Like, because they always want to give a comedian a sitcom or a TV show or a movie or what have you. So like for you, is there a goal in that way? What's in the horizon?
What's in the horizon? I'm just trying to write. I wanna be in more control of everything I'm doing. I feel like in the last 4 years, I've just been on the ride of getting into the business and, learning the business. Because, it's all new to me. So I'm just learning it as I go. And I'm just looking to gain more control of it. So right now I'm just writing. Hopefully, hopefully I can create a show or be a part of something good. I just want to show people I can write. I'm already acting, so that's going to go. But I think the next thing is in the writing.
Is there any end goal to one day step away from the comedy, or is that like your lifeblood?
Comedy is my thing. I just want to I want to have more control over it. I don't want to be on the road every weekend. I want to be on the road when I feel like being on the road. I want to have, a gig for 6 months or whatever, and I sit and I'm in LA every day and I have a schedule. And then in the summertime or the off season, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do a week, 2 weekends out the month on the road, or I want to do it like that as opposed to just running the way I have.
Yeah, chasing it a little bit.
Yeah.
What's one thing you hate about the road? Because I feel like, did you not go on a Delta rant the other day on IG?
Oh, they lost my bag. They lost my bag.
Oh yes, and you had some incredible hype beasts.
Yes, I had a 15-year-old kid's dream in my backpack.
You had a Game Boy and some multi-$1,000.
Yo, you know
clothes.
what? It wasn't that much in there. I just wanted it back. Everything expensive was actually in the bag that came, but I just wanted that bag back. And then I got home and I looked. I had so much shit at my house. I was like, I don't really need the bag, but I was the principal. I was like, nah, I need these T-shirts.
Yeah, understandable. These are some incredible collabs, these T-shirts.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's amazing too. I was recently in Italy with my wife, and our bag got lost, and it really ruined the trip because I was like, it's gone. We had nothing. And inevitably, what's incredible is 3 days later, the bag showed up. Like, there is a brilliant system in place, like where most bags are found. But as soon as it doesn't show up, you're like,
somebody robbed me.
Yeah.
Somebody robbed me. They looked in the bag. They knew what it was.
They saw the dope shit. They wanted Jordan Rocks T-shirts.
Exactly.
And so what's like one of the things that makes you feel like when you made a little bit of money, what was like one of the things, like what's your thing? Is it, wearing dope Supreme collabs? Is it like what's the one thing you indulge in?
Um, the one thing well, probably just Supreme easily. Supreme's easy for me. I don't know what it was. Like I spent so much money on it when I was broke that it
Were you
just
on
turns
Supreme
over.
early? Because I feel like it's having quite a moment over the
It's
last
having a
two
moment
years.
right now. I was probably on it around like 2009, 2010,
Right.
like right before like Our Future, and then they came and it like went up, and it was still cool for another 2 years. But then after like 2000, I would say after like 2013, it's just been on something crazy. The rise after 2013 is crazy.
And it's funny you bring up Odd Future and like I was listening to like are you a fan of Tyler
Oh
and
yeah,
so I'm fascinated by that. I was listening to Michael Rappaport the other day and he was talking about Tyler and I think we share a similar view on it, which is like I think he's dope and super impressive and I know that he's good at so many things and that he has this devoted fan base and yet I can't tell you a song. Like I just don't like where are the bangers? Like
you gotta just listen. It's
you got to
not
go
it's
for the
not
deep.
bangers, man. It's projects.
Right.
It's a project. It's not a
It's an
bang. Yeah,
experience.
yeah. It's a score. It's deep. I don't know. You gotta listen to it. You can't just you don't just bump it.
Appreciate the whole thing.
Yeah, you don't bump it. You put it on and you play the whole thing.
Right. It's not just like a single.
Yeah, and then also if you weren't a frustrated like if you weren't a frustrated uh 15, 16 to like 23-year-old between the years of them first coming out,
Sure.
you probably missed the wave. Like if you were happy around that time,
You
you,
weren't
you weren't there. You
appreciating
you weren't there.
the full expression.
Yeah, exactly.
um, I feel like too. You and I once we had a long ride home from Palm Springs. You remember that when we
Yeah.
shot that short?
Yeah.
And
Where is that? Can I see it?
I don't know. It exists.
All
Some
right.
maybe, perhaps.
All right.
And you were sort of like I first of all, I don't know if you remember, you talked about sort of the Kanye, Kim Kardashian, sort of the you felt it, I thought it was such a smart observation just about you said like they live their lives in the public. Like they've given their lives to us.
Yeah.
And like do you reconcile that as a performer cuz you're sort of living in that space now where like the next 10 years you could become that where you're living your life out in the public and you've told me like I have no qualms about it. Like I'm ready to be like comedy's Michael Jordan. Like you know?
I'm chilling now because you know what's happening. I just get how people talk about things, and I also get how simple just doing it is.
Right.
So that's what's really got me is I'm just aware of how if you just do it, they'll come.
Right.
And it's something about this. What's got me now is knowing that there's a bunch of just 18-year-olds and 21-year-olds getting let loose on the streets right now from college and high school. Just a bunch of people coming out there that think they know what the world is. It's really gotten me to just like, all right, I'm gonna just go into my cocoon and create, and then when I come out, it'll be something.
Right.
Uh,
But you don't have any qualms about saying like you're how old are you, 26?
yeah, 27.
27. Like you have I mean at 27 I was about to get engaged and now I'm married and probably have kids soon. Like I love what I respect about you. You were like I have the lion spirit. Like I am here to. My ambition is what's important right now. I'm not settling down.
Because
that's
listen,
what you
man,
need, though.
Listen, bro, I was just having this
I respect
conversation.
it.
I was just having this conversation with my ex, and I know, dude. I've never made 28 grand a week, 20 grand a week.
Hell yeah.
If I had a TV show for a few years to ever make that kind of money to put
Fair.
up.
Fair.
Of course, I would want to settle down, but I'm
Fair.
trying to go get that. Like all my friends who like have had like real jobs, like real series regular jobs.
Sure.
Like, of course they want to settle down. They've made money. They've put it up.
Yeah.
They could afford to settle down. They could afford a woman. Like they could do everything.
They got that security.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have that at all. So
I
like,
get that.
Yeah, and I just had this chick. She was like, "Why don't you want to be with me? Why don't you?" I'm like, I'd have to make 20 grand a week just to deal with you. Just
Right.
to
She's out there like cold calling, getting you auditions,
I'm like, just to deal with you. Like,
trying to get you a job so
yeah,
y'all can get married.
I'm like, you want me to put down roots? I can't put down roots yet.
Right.
I'm trying to, like, if once I get past that 2 seasons, all right, good. I'll definitely have a girl.
Yeah, you're like, I'm doing yucks in Iowa right now, all right?
Exactly.
We can't settle down.
exactly.
No, I know. Listen, I've been blessed with a certain level of success traditionally in TV and movies, but I, like you, having, I've had a long career, and so, I'd have a good year, and then 2 years where I was, just getting by. And then over the last 5 years, now that I've been able to make some money from social media and sort of start a business that way and not be beholden to like, oh my God, I got to get this guest star on like, CSI Bed-Stuy or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like now that I have a little security because I can create my own income, I think is why I got married and and I live on the west side of LA now and not the valley.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that.
You know?
I see that clearly. And if people can't see that,
Right.
yeah, it's like I need to do the things like this. I feel like like you said, you've had a long career. I feel like my career is just starting.
And it's exciting.
Yeah.
Man. What about like also on that, where I feel like you and I really had our heart to heart on our long drive back to LA. You talked about what you appreciated in Chappelle. And you said that when he would do his incredibly long sets, that he was sort of like the phantom of comedy clubs for a few years. Like he would show up and sit there and do these like 2-hour, 3-hour sets. And I thought what was so smart was you said he was fortifying himself to be ready for anything, that he could talk about anything. Do you remember telling me this? What will you speak more on that?
Yeah, Chappelle would just come into clubs forever. He wouldn't come in and do the middle spot. He would come in and do like the last spot. He would get on stage and he would just stay on stage for 3 hours, 4 hours. And he would just talk. He would go like, hey, man, where you from? And they'll be like, I'm from China. And he'll be like, you know what's crazy? I just came from China. Right. And try to make a bit right there. Then try to ask them questions about it. And meanwhile, he's recording this whole thing. So he would just do that over and over and over again. So that's why when you go to shows and people heckle him or throw things out, he's like, hey, you know what? I have something for that because I've been in this situation before.
Yeah, he's just ready.
Yeah, he's out of this world, man. I love Chappelle.
So what do I feel like the current sort of like political landscape and whatnot is so we're hearing, I mean, it's a joke factory right now out there, right? So do you find yourself like wanting to comment on that, or do you kind of more stay away from it because so many comedians are talking about it?
Well, I heard Trevor Noah do a bunch of Trump jokes a few months ago, and I think nobody in the world should even try to do Trump jokes. That's how good his jokes were. I was
He's so
dang.
Brilliant.
I was like, everyone else should just put the mic down. But I got to tap it. It's the elephant in the room sometimes. So they kind of want you to touch it a little bit. I try to stay in the middle of every political argument. I try to be apolitical.
Right.
Yeah, that's just my whole set. I'm in the middle of everything.
Do you notice it's interesting, like I'll see sometimes when I go and do these college gigs, or even if I'm watching comedy at a club, that sometimes I'll just see an energy in a comedian, or I'll notice it in myself on the sets or the times where I feel like it doesn't go well, that I'll be like, there's just something, and I could see it from a mile away when they got on stage or when I got up there, where I was like, I'm just not in the right place right now to make this as good as it can be. Do you ever notice that? Do you see that? In other comedians where you're like, he's not in the right place right now. This is not going to go well.
Yeah, if you want to see a comedian lose his mind, come to New York and see a comic do a Monday spot after they just opened for their famous friend somewhere.
Right.
Go see your boy at New York Comedy Club at a 7 o'clock fucking Tuesday spot after he just came back from opening for, Dalia at a fucking college somewhere.
Right,
For like
3,000
3,000
people.
people. Watch him lose his mind when 12 people don't think his joke he just told it for 6,000 people is funny.
And is it? What do you think it is? Is it because he just felt the roar of a?
Yep,
Of a
it's the high and it's the smack, it's the come down.
right.
Yeah, the come down. Or, some people just have real lives. You can't be funny every night.
Yeah, I mean you have to accept that as well, right?
Yeah, people have lives, so it's like, it's a lot of stuff on their mind.
Do you find that because I've also noticed that with certain gigs that I do, if I have some stories, I have some like little bits, and it's not stand up, but it's just comedy talking about my career that I know go over well. And sometimes in certain places, I've just steamrolled the crowd where I'm just like, I'm
Oh,
gonna
you're in robot mode.
right. Speak more to that because I think that's interesting.
I had to break out of that.
Because you deny the crowd's existence, and they want to feel like they're there too.
Yes, you really deny the crowd their existence. It's weird. I went through that in New York doing comedy. In New York doing comedy, you'll reach like this fucking weird period of your life where you're just like, I don't know, it's weird. You're just being like vet mode or robot mode or
Right.
I don't know. It's like comics will be like, I do 4 spots a night. I'm just, I'm working. And it's like, dude, you're doing 4 spots a night. It's not 4 good shows going on tonight. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So they just be in robot mode, and you get this thing where you're like, the crowd isn't. It's just, you're not looking at them as individuals or anything. It's really weird, and you have to just refocus yourself, recenter yourself, and I don't. It's really weird how I don't even know how to word it. You got to really just get into it. Like, I reserve my energy just for shows. So, like, all day you'll be hanging out with me, and I'll just be like, yeah. And then I do the show, and I'm like, yes! Like,
Yeah, you're plugged in.
yeah, and I had to learn from doing it all the time, I thought I had it, and I had to, like, I had to go back in on that. I had to learn how to do it all over again, like, 5 years later.
Because there is a weird balance with what any sort of artistry, right? Which is that yes, like you need to be obsessed, you need to amass the 10,000 hours, you need to do it.
Yeah.
And yet there is a weird alchemy magic to really nurturing that energy and making it special for that crowd. Like in a small way, I remember this year going through pilot season and I sort of made a decision. I called up my reps. I'm like, send me out for everything. I was like, ninth lead on a fucking procedural, like Law and Order, San Diego. I'm in. And I found myself going out for 5 auditions a week and going in, and nothing became special anymore. And I'm just kind of walking through it like a zombie because I just nothing could be special. I couldn't give anything the time it deserved.
Yeah.
Because there was a part of me that just was like, get to work,
Yeah, I actually did the exact opposite this pilot season to where I was just like, no.
Right. And sometimes you got to do that.
Lots of no's. No is my new favorite thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, no is my new favorite thing.
Well, right now, as you know, in the industry, I feel like you can't be a white guy saying no.
I know. It's getting really colorful.
In a good way. I mean, there's like a lot of initiatives going on, and I think, we're finding the balance that has for so long needed to be there.
I mean, I don't know what the balance is. People act like, Whoopi Goldberg never happened.
Right.
I mean, that happened in the early 90s.
I love Sister Act 2.
Exactly. I mean, I'm like, that happened. Like, you go back through like the early 90s, mid 90s, early thousands. There's tons of black material there.
Right.
It wasn't until we got the Soul Plane we fucked it all up. We put a little bit too much money in the Soul Plane. It didn't recoup. And black movies have been on defense since.
I've been dying to see Snoop play a pilot again. I've got to say. I mean,
I heard he's in Flight 2.
Really? He said, "Oh shit, we got a motherfucking situation." All right, so we'll wrap it up in a minute. I guess like I'm so fascinated to hear what you're thinking about what's going on with like Kanye and.
We need the product. I'm a big Ye fan.
Me too.
I don't know what he's saying. So that's the thing. He has no points to what he's saying. So I'm gonna continue to like
Right.
Kanye's products. I'm just gonna remove myself from Kanye the person.
When's the last time you loved a Kanye song? Like, what was it? Was it off Life of Pablo?
Oh wait,
Was it off Runaway?
I was just listening to the Pusha T album on the way here.
I like that.
Yeah, that's amazing. The whole he produced the new Pusha T album. It's amazing.
It's very good.
Yeah, and I like, Kanye has, what I like about Kanye and what I think of when I listen to Kanye's music that he actually makes and puts his name behind 100 is that I know he has a condition to where he could see music. So his chords are always just a little deeper. His sounds are always just a little bit,
He can see sounds.
Yeah, it's like it just plays
Sonically.
a little bit. Like even if you're not fucking with the words, like if you listen to the beat, you'll be like, damn, like this is crazy.
I feel like Pharrell has that too a little bit.
Yeah.
And one thing I wanted to ask you back to the being on the road and what's going on. Like for you, so you're in Denver and you crush it, right? And like you're on a high and you go back to like what happens after that? Do you go out to the bar? Do you go back to the hotel room and just lock yourself in, which is what I usually do because I'll go out and get in trouble if I don't do that.
It depends on where I'm at,
Right.
Certain places it's popping after the show, Certain places you want to go out. You're in the, the bar, the drinking district. It's just, busy. And in certain places you're like, all right, we just went hard in
Right.
DC last week. We're in, whatever, Ohio.
Toledo.
This week.
Let's shut
Let's
it down.
just chill. Let's just chill.
Right.
I was in whatever. I spent this much money drinking. This week I'ma just chill. And that's how it goes.
But I feel too like this is why, especially in this day and age, I'm so glad to be married because I imagine like the whole dream of being a performer, anyone of kind of what we do is to meet beautiful people on the road and have experiences and enjoy.
Listen, those experiences get old, all right?
I don't doubt it.
Those experiences get old because it's like I'm just tired of meeting people and having the same pointless conversation. Like you meet somebody and you're talking and you're just like, I'm in here now.
You're like, oh, word, you're an oral hygienist.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, word, that's what you do. Like, okay, you're a bartender in Ohio. All right, cool. Like you're a bottle girl in Denver. All right, cool. You're
paralegal in
it's like damn
in
like,
St. Paul.
It's like damn like. I know I know the listeners are gonna be like, that's shallow, but it's like, yo, like what?
Well, it's Groundhog's Day, inevitably.
Yeah, it's like, you don't know you're not bringing anything to your life.
But do you have to also be aware of the fact that, like, if perhaps, like, you met a cool person and whatever, it went further, like, I feel like you have to be so careful because one wrong move or, like, one thing nowadays and you're finished.
Like in what way? What are you saying?
Like
the Me Too movement type stuff?
Like if you took a crazy person home, like it used to be finding the crazy girl was attractive. You know what I mean? But you don't know what they're going to say or what, like that they could create a story at, weeks after. You're like, we had a wonderful time.
Yeah.
Like, and it's scary out there.
Yeah, that is scary. I'm to the point. Yeah, that is scary.
Right?
That is very scary. It is like that these days. And I'm at the point where it's just like, yeah, I can't convince you that this is the best thing going anymore. Like, I don't have, how.
Right. Like now people want to film it, but it's not it's not anything naughty. It's purely for legal reasons.
Yeah,
like, we need a recorded.
Yeah, I stay away. I'm,
Yeah, you got to protect yourself.
I try not to use Tinder that much.
Right.
Try. Heavy word. Try.
Right. I think that's probably for the best.
Try. It's just human Pokemon Go. That's what it is.
That's such a funny joke. I miss the whole online dating app thing, and I can't even imagine what my life would have been like had that.
Yo, you're good, bro. You're good. It's addicting.
Oh man.
It's like, people who are like addicted to playing the lottery every day.
Right. Scratchers.
That's what Tinder is.
Yeah.
It's like you could win nothing. You
Right.
could win $5.
It's,
You could win $5. You could win 1,000.
Yeah. Anything is possible.
I need to swipe every day. I'm pretty much past. I feel like a girl. I need to write it in my bio. I'm not here to hook up.
Good for you.
I think I'm just addicted to swiping at this point. It's the weirdest thing.
Well, you want to see if you get the match.
It's the weirdest thing. You're just
exciting.
It's not even exciting. It's like the same way you flip through your Instagram.
Right.
It's like it's just muscle reflex.
Right. I mean, I'm so like I've had friends too I'll watch them on their Tinder and they'll be swiping and there'll be plenty of lefts. I'm like, just go right, see what happens. You got nothing to lose. I'd be on full right all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Nah. You know what? I don't. You'll go full right, and then like you don't match with everyone you go right with at that time. But then you open it again. And they'll be there, and you'll be like, what the fuck was I doing out here?
It'd be better just to go to sleep.
Yeah, and then sometimes, yeah, exactly. I'm so happy every time I masturbate. I'm just like, thank God you fucking saved me. I'll be like, hey, I'm like, cut. They're like, what's up? I'm like, I don't even want to talk. I don't have the energy to deal with this person.
Another win win for your soul.
Exactly.
Oh, I know that. Believe me, I know that setup. Yeah, I've never regretted being really excited or like needing to meet girls and then just deciding to jerk off and go to bed.
Yeah,
it's the best. I never regret it.
It makes me feel so much better.
But I have regretted being out at like some awful person's apartment at 4 in the morning.
Slaying the dragon, right?
Yeah, which is oh God, where you're just like questioning I'm like, can I even get an Uber at this? Do Ubers
like you gotta
work
remind
at 4
you gotta remind yourself that people are doing worse. You start thinking about
right.
You think about your friends that are doing worse. You're like, my boy Tony fucks prostitutes.
Yeah, exactly.
This is better than that, right?
Yeah, my friend Danny's doing fraud right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just subprime mortgages. Okay, so last question is, and I guess I'm always interested in this because like I'm like a person where I'm always into the new thing and what's going on, and like I hate talking about the past or that kind of stuff. Like, is there ever like I feel like so many people when you're interviewed will bring up like your family or your brothers or whatever. Is there a little part of you that's like, I want to talk about that?
No, I'm all good. It's a part of me, so
right.
I can't be ashamed of what's a part of me.
Yeah. I think that's probably a very healthy take on it.
Yeah. So it's like I can't escape it. It's embedded in me.
Right.
And it's not too many families like this. So it's like, why would I denounce that?
Thank you so much.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me, bro.
This has been awesome. You want to plug anything?
What can
Denver?
I plug? What can I plug?
This might not go up in time for Denver.
I know. Just follow me on Instagram at JordanRock843. Be on the lookout for Safe Word coming on MTV soon.
Dope.
And the After Party coming out on Netflix in the fall.
Love it. Awesome, yo. Respect. Thank you, man.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me, bro.
Of course. That was it. Jordan Rock, what a guy, right? A dreamboat, an incredible human. I'm so lucky that happened. You're welcome, everyone, America and other countries, the U.S. Virgin Islands, perhaps, if you're listening, Puerto Rico, territories, Alaska. I mean, just even places that aren't part of the continental United States. Have a great week, guys. Hope you enjoyed me and Heavy and our little chop up session earlier, and love you guys. Okay, see you next week. Okay, bye. Oh, next week, my boy Neve Schulman on the pod. You're gonna love it. A very special interview. Can't wait to share it. Okay, why is this outro taking so long? Shut up, Josh. Okay, bye.